What's up, guys? Sub-Zeric here, back for another VOD review. Today, we are VOD reviewing another game from the Macao Open, actually, because, I did the grand final yesterday, which was incredibly hype. It was really, really cool seeing the conclusion to this tournament. Also, that was not anything, that wasn't even me lagging, that was their client lagging for some reason. But there were many really, really cool games played this tournament that were not, in the grand finals. They were not even by people who made it to the grand finals. Today, I want to highlight someone who made it insanely far in the tournament, Setsuko. If you guys were not watching it long, he just barely did not make it to the final lobby. He made it to the top 16, and score-wise, he was actually 9th overall in the entire tournament. So the best player that was not in the final lobby, and, with a tournament like this, it's just so impressive to see someone even just make it this far. TFT is a game, I said at the end of the last video, it's all skill, but especially in a tournament format like this where you can play 3 games and be eliminated, it is absolutely, sometimes you get eliminated and it is outside of your control. And I wanted to watch this game from Setsuko because he played this line a couple of times this tournament, actually, and it's not a line that I think a lot of people are really, really locked into, not a line that a lot of people are, really interested in even playing, and it allows him to save games that, sometimes would not be savable, would not be really, really strong games. Because Setsuko in this tournament, he played infinite of AP. He really, really liked angling towards just straight up playing around Silco. Just like every game he could, it was a Dominator Silco game. They were really making fun of him on the broadcast because it felt like every single game he had Silco sometime during stage 3, ended up playing Dominators. He got, bronze for life every single game, and it was disgusting. One thing to point out here, actually, look at Setsuko just playing his most win streak style setup. So first of all, he reforges Rod here. So at this point, he knows he wants to play towards AD. Why does he want to play towards AD? I mean, look at our opener, right? We have Darius 2 and we have Draven 2. But also what's kind of interesting about this is we're not angling family in this spot. So let's break this all down. Not angling family in this spot when we have Darius 2, Draven 2, a Violet, and a Vander here. I don't know if this is because maybe someone else in the lobby is taking it, or if this is just Setsuko saying, you know what? I know family is obviously broken. It is probably the single strongest comp in the game, but I don't want to be forced to play Reroll because you lose a lot of player agency when you play Reroll. I have to imagine, he would be open to playing family if he got the spot for it, and maybe the issue was just that he saw that he was contested. But look at these slams, actually. He reforged Rod here and ends up making Sunfire in this spot. Just best tempo slam. Actually, let me do this real quick because I think it's actually quite instructive. Let me go to leaderboards here and pull up Setsuko because this is something that I was looking at the other day that I think, and this is obviously a solo queue, so it doesn't show his stats, right, from the open, but these are his last 50 games in solo queue. In 33 of his last 50, he has slammed a Sunfire Cape. Setsuko loves Sunfire Cape even more than something like a Warmog's Armor that I think, last patch was consensus like the best item in the game. Setsuko loves the Sunfire Cape, and it makes sense when you think about how Setsuko plays TFT as a player. Setsuko loves playing really, really strong early, and here's the other piece of that. If you guys didn't catch that at the last second, he wins this fight pre-levels at 2-1 up to level 5 at 2-2. He is going full all in, and why shouldn't he, right? He's got Draven 2, Darius 2, so he doesn't really have to worry about finding extra upgrades on these levels. He really just has to worry about playing his strongest board. He can fit family in onto his current board on level 5 with just the powder that he had on bench. His board's fantastic, but it just shows how much Setsuko wants to play for win streak. But playing for win streak alone is not enough, because if you remember what Setsuko's items were looking like after he made that Sunfire Slam, I believe he had full BT open. I think he had Cloak Sword open right there. If you were trying to play towards AP, it's not impossible, right? You could see that being like an Ionic Spark and a Shojin. And to be fair, he does have the component Anvil, so he could kind of play whatever he wants from that position. If he wanted to take a bunch of tiers and rods out of component Anvils, he could get there. But it's not what Setsuko is really interested in this spot. Why is that? This is something that I talk about a lot when I do coaching. No self-promo, but link down below to my Metafy if you want to see coaching. If you want to get access to coaching VODs, you could sub to the... Okay. In any case. You can sub to the coaching group if you want to get access to coaching VODs, and you can pay as little as like $5 a month. You get access to all my coaching VODs, or you can obviously get coaching yourself there. The group also gets you discounted coaching. It's just such a good deal. But I'm not promoting. I wouldn't want to self promo. But look, he slams the BT there. And he's playing this this AD flex type setup in this spot. Why is he playing that AD flex type setup? Well, before I interrupted myself to self promo, I was going to say his opener leans much more towards AD than AP. Even if he could lean towards AP, he doesn't really want to in this spot because he's got the Draven as a fantastic AD item carrier. He's got the Darius as a fantastic AD brawler type item carrier. You know, stuff for like Vi, stuff for like Mbessa. So why would we do this? Look, he gets to slam the BT here because he is playing around Darius. He also picks up, wow, a Vander too. So just look at this board, actually. So strong right now, but it can't be Family. Look, he's pushed levels here. He also ended up playing Scrap here over Family, which is interesting. His idea, I guess, at this point just being who really cares about playing Family in this spot. Okay, and then I think he ends up getting Family back in there because he's, yeah, I feel like Family is a little bit better. I mean, Family obviously doesn't buff up your board that much, but neither does Scrap. So yeah. But I think a lot of people, you know, when they had this line and they say, okay, I have to play AD here, there's basically one line in their mind, and that is for Emissary. This is the comp that I've talked about so much. A lot of people talked about this as maybe one of the strongest comps of the entire patch, because you just play around for Emissary, and Bessa got a big buff. You can fit Vi on your board. She got buffed, I believe. Corki got buffed. You can fit him onto your board. You can fit all this stuff that got buffed on your board, and it's just a very, very straightforward. You play for Emissary. There are actually a few different versions of it, so it's not so straightforward, but, you know, it's really play the Emissary units and then fit units that add synergies with them. You know, Vladimir is a popular one because he's Sork and he's Watcher. A lot of gold here for Setsuko, and I think when he gets this drop from minions here, he starts to kind of figure out, okay, this is actually what I want to play for. 4 Pit Fighter here, gonna make these slams instantaneous, actually. Gonna take the Last Whisper here, has the IE open if he wants to make for it, making all these items here. Yeah, the IE Last Whisper, and then he has like a Titan's Last if he wants it. Ooh, he's gonna hold open the bow actually, and the belt in this spot. So no Titans gonna be slammed in this situation. Just gonna keep both of these components open for something like a Stair Axe plus another bow item. I mean, we'll see what Setsuko ends up slamming here. But hey, continuing his streak, fantastic slams with his anvils here, but all just hard all in on AD here. Teaming up actually sounds fantastic here because it gives you another component anvil, and we have 2 half components open, so I feel like that's an easy pick. Eye for an Eye obviously sounds disgusting as well. The only problem is I don't know how good this is when you're actually I mean, I guess in the same way this gives you maybe you just take this, right? It's a random component. It's just instead of 6 gold you get the potential for other stuff. It's just I don't know how long it's going to take for us to have 13 units die. It seems like it's going to take a really, really long time. I wonder if you do just take teaming up for the gold anyway. This is actually a really interesting pick here because yeah, his board's so strong. How is he going to get Eye for an Eye value? He's wins. Yeah, I think this makes perfect sense. Take the teaming up for the full component. This also, hey, it gave us a, wow, look at that really aggressive level, and boom, the Warmogs is going to come down. So he loves the Sunfire, but he also still really loves making a Warmogs here. The idea being that, you know, potentially we'll be able to put a Garen onto our board later. And you know, maybe even, I'm talking about Setsuko Genius mode. I think in Setsuko's mind, he's still playing for a 4 Emissary board, right? He's saying, you know what, in an ideal world, I'm going to pick up I mean, that's the strongest AD board in the game. So why not keep that option open, make the Warmogs, he held onto a Tristana right at the end there, and say, okay, you know what, if everything goes as planned, I am going to play towards a 4 Emissary board. Now, the thing about TFT is that everything does not always go as planned. There's something that Appies, Spicy Appies, now he just goes by Appies, said a long time ago that I thought was just kind of like a genius TFT quote, which was, you know, if you're playing a game of TFT and your game plan does not change at any point throughout the entire game, you probably did not play a good game of TFT. Because, you know, if you start out thinking that you're going to be in one line and you just ignore everything else that pulls you into other lines, then it means you are probably playing quite inflexibly. If you are playing into one line and then you see something that says, you know what, maybe I'll play something else, you look and see, okay, you know, in Setsuko's spot, he just got a GP 2-star, which, you know, can fit on that board. He got an Urgot 2-star as well, if you saw on the top right, which is interesting. I don't know how he's fitting all that kind of stuff. I'd love to see his board here. Frodan, can we do a quick scout on him? Nah, I mean, he's win streaking too hard. Frodan wants to scout the rest of the... Oh, we can actually. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it fits very well onto the board. He could just play all these pit fighters. He just, yeah, has the Urgot in here as a very solid board, though. Ooh, is this fight going to go poorly for us? I mean, we have a GP2. He's just farming. He's just farming up this board. But, you know, maybe he starts to see more of these pit fighter units and say, you know what, maybe it doesn't actually make sense for me to play this Emissary setup. Or, you know, for example, if you're playing some kind of setup and then you natural at 4 costs, or you get like a broken augment for another setup. I think so many people do what a lot of people do in TFT, where they say, you know what, I'm in one line. This one line that I have is good enough. I'm not going to, force myself to pivot into something else, which can be correct if your line is really good, but sometimes you get opened up to a really, really good spot by playing flexibly, and it increases your win rate by an insane amount. So 100 streak here from Setsuko. I would say congrats to him for that, but it honestly seems like the standard for him at this point. He has so much gold, especially because he got the +6 from his second augment, and because we are in Scuttle Puddle. So he is going to be very, very rich here. It looks, I would say, like a 4-1 in this spot, in my opinion, but we'll see what Setsuko wants to go for. He's actually going to hold on to these anvils here. This is actually a really tough turn to play, but if there's anyone who can do it, it's Setsuko here, because he has to figure out these anvils. He's got to pivot his board, picks up a Corki here, who he probably wants to fit onto that board. Yep, he's going to get the Corki in. He wants to hold the Ambessa too. This is actually such a tough turn. Setsuko is dizzy. Yeah, I was going to say, if there's anyone who can do it, it's Setsuko, but even Setsuko having some trouble there does end up still playing a fantastic board here. Gets a TG down because he has so many items. He just needs that. Fits 4 Conqueror, 4 Pit Fighter. I mean, nice pivot from Setsuko. He got a little dizzy there, but he still managed to get to his strongest board. Sadly, we end up fighting into a Zoe too. It's so tragic, actually, that he loses there, but pretty solid pivot from Setsuko. All right. Next augment comes down the turnstile. Artifactory, Flurry of Blows, Sponging here. We have a lot of items this game, though. Artifactory does kind of have negative synergy with the fact that we've gotten to pick our items the entire game because of this this augment. So I don't know if it's actually that good in this spot. I mean, 5 BF swords also seems kind of sus, but maybe we can figure out a way. But yeah, he's actually gonna roll past both of those and just take Flurry of Blows here. Yeah, I mean, he has the IE, so it's solid value onto the unit with IE. I think it makes sense here. All right, gonna continue to roll down here, but notice a few units that Setsuko's holding, and check out this pivot. Okay, I think we need to look back here at just 1, what he's holding on his bench, and 2, what he sees in this shop here, because I think so many people, if you're playing for the 4 emissary board, would blow past this shop and say, okay, you know what? I haven't hit any emissaries yet. Keep rolling, keep rolling. The game sucks. I'm getting more dogged. But I think I just put my mic stand, so sorry if that sounds bad. But notice also what Setsuko's been holding on to this entire time. Alawi pair here, and he's actually going to fit that in. He's also holding on to Echo, who's another unit that you really does not fit at all onto this emissary board. So he says, you know what? I can actually fit a few scrap units into this board. Now, he's not going to play full vertical scrap. He's not going to play this Trundle and Ziggs here, which we have here. Do we have 5 scrap, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't have the 6th scrap unit, I believe here. We don't have powder. I believe we sold her. But he sees this rumble here and says, you know what? Let's basically full pivot the board. I found an Echo 2 in this shop. There's Vi as well. There's Vi 2 who fits fantastically on this board with Pit Fighter. And look at the board that he puts together. I mean, have you seen anybody playing this line before? It's a 4 scrap line using Echo, pairing Vi up with Pit Fighter here. He's got the Savika, so he's going to fit her on the board. He's got the Ambessa now just for Conqueror, but he could potentially fit like 4 Pit Fighter if he wanted onto this board. He's fitting Sentinel on this board right now with this, but that could down the line just end up being the Alawi, but he wants to get the Conqueror in for now. Just look at this crazy board. Like, how many people have put together a board like this? He's just, but I mean, it fits, right? It fits. The Vi fits very, very well with the scrap board because you're playing around the GP. I don't know if there's a way that we can really easily fit Enforcer, but I mean, if there's a way, I'm sure Setsuko would find it. The Rumble fits really, really well with what we've been playing so far. And look at these item slams as well. The BT Warmogs ends up going onto the Rumble for now. I honestly am confused a little bit on that because I would assume the BT would want to go on the Vi, but I mean, but no, he's just a genius. Oh my God. 4 scrap in here, scrapping all of these components, 1 on Rumble, 1 on Echo, 1 on the GP. And then the idea is that the Visor is going to hold the TG, whereas the Rumble is a Sentinel, so he's getting much Armor to Mars, so the Warmogs is quite good on him. The BT, he's doing a lot of damage, and because we got Rumble this early, we are going to be able to scale him up with all these upgrades. I mean, like, look at this board. Who would play this board other than Setsuko? It reminds me of that Setsuko VOD that we reviewed a while ago, where he played that Fast 9 Corki setup. Like, I think Setsuko is one of the few people on this earth, this world, who is comfortable playing around these kind of like AD flex setups that I think so few people want to play around. They say, you know, it's Ambessa Emissary or bust, and I think so few people would be playing a 4 scrap board. How many times across this weekend did we see 4 scrap boards with like a few Pit Fighters thrown in and just everything together pop off? And you scout the rest of the lobby, and look, we have a Silco board, a Silco board, a Silco board, a Silco board. Everybody just, you know, all these sheep playing the Silco board because it's one of the strongest boards in the game. But if everybody plays it, it becomes a lot harder. And look, he's winning fights. He's on a 3 streak here, 40 gold for Setsuko, 91 HP, just going 9, a fantastic spot here. Rolling down for just, I'm actually really curious to see what we take as far as Anomaly. He's looking at the finisher for Corki. Holy, the finisher for Corki. This means we're going to have to, I assume, move these GP items over to Corki at this point. But I mean, yeah, it makes sense. It seems pretty solid on Corki because he's doing all these small instances of damage. So getting one kind of execute seems really good. It looked like he actually rolled a little bit there. I think Setsuko's kind of stuck between rolling and not rolling here. And he is going to leave the items on GP. I guess the idea being, it doesn't actually really matter how much damage Corki is doing as long as he's getting those executes. So who really cares about moving the items to Corki? We'd rather maximize our damage by keeping the items onto the GP. It's kind of genius when you think about it. I absolutely would have felt like you have to move the items over to Corki, but I mean, if you think about it, damage is damage. You'd rather have the damage onto the GP. The only downside is that obviously Corki's gonna like auto attack a little bit less and like cast a little bit less, but you know, it's fine. Setsuko did end up losing his streak there, and also we're seeing some kind of disgusting things happen in the rest of the lobby. There was a Mordekaiser 2, this guy found a Silco 2 somehow, and a Ziggs 3. Wait, Shichu's here. Oh my god, I mean, I was not paying attention to Shichu's until right at the end of the tournament, but that's such a cool line as well. Maybe if someone was watching this VOD, I would have loved to review that. But okay, back to Setsuko's board. He has finally moved the items over because he got another IE in this spot, so that makes a lot of sense. At this point, then we can move on to Corki, leave the IE onto the GP. And actually, yeah, he just made triple item Corki, and then this is something interesting, so let's go back and look at this. He's not actually scrapping onto Corki because we are forced scrap. We don't get the lucky items, so half the time these items are turning into just kind of garbage. You know, this is turning into like a bramble vest or something, and you know, this sword could turn into like a stair axe or something, which is, you know, not ideal on backline here. So why not, yeah, just make the real items onto Corki at this point. The other thing is the double IE, fantastic synergy with the flurry of blows here, giving us all this crit chance. The GP is going to do a lot of work here. He's Pit Fighter, and also notice that we have kind of completed our board, the sort of standard version of our board. We got out of Mbessa. We got the Swain in here, who is both a frontliner, though he's also, you know, amassing some amount of just value from this. We have Conquer in here, kind of hilariously with Swain plus Rel. This is kind of a very worthless synergy at this point, I would say, but he did end up just saying, you know, it's good enough. It's some stats here. But yeah, this is a form swapper, Conqueror, Swain here. And then he also got Tristan here, who's kind of funny. She's an artillerist, which is really, really nice. And she's the only emissary that we ended up playing because we're not playing this for emissary board. So yeah, the board actually fits together nicely. And I would just like, this looks like maybe the standard version of the board. You know, you have the Vian for Pit Fighter. Still, I don't know if there's a good way to fit Enforcer. I mean, I wonder if he would rather play a Loris over the Rel, drop Conquer, gain the synergy that unit would provide, which for some reason I can't think of right now, that I literally just said like 2 seconds ago. But yeah, I wonder if he would do that if he got a Loris. I'm not 100% sure. Enforcer is what it's called. Look, it's hard doing these commentaries. You tell me, you try to record a video where you're talking a mile a minute, remembering every single trait or every single unit. It's kind of tough, especially when you're providing on-point analysis the entire time. But yeah, I mean, look at Setsuko's spot, 66 HP, and he's not winning every single fight, right? Because this is not the highest cap board in the game. But what this allows Setsuko to do is that when he's in this spot where he's forced to play AD, you know, this is not his super high roll spot. This is not Setsuko's ideal spot. Also, speaking of Enforcer, there is an Enforcer emblem onto a Rumble. Okay, we're not going to be able to get that. Pretty tragic here, but that's okay. Just going to take a Deathblade here for our GP items because we are, yeah, 2 out of 3 GP items. Makes sense. So, yeah, we are going to level at this point. This is the other thing that it allows us to do is push 9. Still holding on to a lot of this stuff, actually. Finds Mbessa too, but yeah, not so interested in that. Finds that Savika gets her back. Remember, we had a Savika earlier, but we ended up getting her off the board here. And actually, yeah, just playing a Jinx here for Ambusher makes sense. She's another carry we can play on this board. She actually gets fantastic synergy with the flurry of blows, and we are also getting some stats onto to Echo. The Ambusher value was fantastic on him. So once again, gonna lose a fight. I would say, you know, Setsuko does not, speaking once again to our idea of like starting out a game of TFT with a comp in mind, I doubt Setsuko, wow. Okay, so, I mean, yeah, we sell the Vi at this point, we find Savika too. That was a great call from Setsuko, actually, just to sell the Vi and say, I'm losing HP, I'm level 9, Savika's very uncontested, I'm just gonna roll for it. And she's got, you know, an Edge of Night, a blue buff, actually quite solid. But yeah, you know, this is not, I'm sure Setsuko wouldn't play this comp 100% of games if he could, but allowing him to save placements when he's forced to play AD, which is just more of kind of an underwhelming line, and when he's not allowed to pick up stuff like those Ambessas, stuff like those Garens. He did not ever find multiple Garens this game. He found one Garen this game, and his game's all the better for not playing around Garen, right? Imagine he had just stuck to playing one Garen on his board, like a Garen 1 on his board, and just bled out so much HP. He would be on his way to he would be a bot 4 at this point, but now Jinx 2, everything 2-starred actually. I assume we're gonna look for, Shojin onto Jinx is really, really nice. The Deathblade as well. Still scrap that sword, and then what are you looking at last item here? Bramble Vest I was looking at, though I didn't even know who it would go on to, but yeah, I guess Bramble Swain is like okay here. Fighting a really, really strong Mordekaiser board, and yeah, Setsuko still taking losses, down to 6 HP here. So this is when we really gotta lock in. We gotta find our big upgrades. There is one in shop, by the way. That is a Victor. So yeah, at this point, there's no world where you're not putting Victor onto this board here. Finds the Rel too, but yeah, ends up just, you have to fit the Victor here, so he ends up cutting the Swain here. Form Swapper, not the most important. Conquer as well, just not that important. So the Victor, hugely influential on this board. And also remember that Setsuko did not find Corki 2 until a round or two ago. The fact that he is still, in the spot here, top 3, by the way, on his way to potentially a top 2, goes to show what a cool flex line this was, I would say. Also, the really tough thing for Setsuko is there's another Rumble 2 out. I think part of the reason why you play this line is because Rumble is a little, less played. You can certainly fit him in onto emissary boards like this, but not everyone's playing for Rumble, and so he would hoped that he could have found a Rumble 2 on 9, but he's just getting mort dogged here. All right, the big pull from the Mordekaiser is really scary there, but Rumble doing a lot of work, and yeah, that's a top 2. Picking up this Victor, just the amount of gold that we had to roll this game means that we're actually potentially in a really good spot. We're gonna take Crown Guard here. The idea being what? That could potentially go onto Rumble, but then what, are we moving Warmog somewhere else? I'm not sure. There's the Rumble 2 for Setsuko as well, because Dr. O ended up dying, and that means that Rumble 2 is out of the pool, which is, it's back into the pool, which is huge for Setsuko. That's so much frontline on a board that is really lacking it right now. Where did the Crown Guard end up? It just ended up onto this Rel. Bramble Crown Guard Rel is pretty underwhelming, but that's life there. Both players having Victors at this point, so you can't even say that this fight's a Victor diff, by the way, because both people have them. Also, I believe we can track it for this game. My heuristic, the thing that I've seen so far is that in a mirror matchup like this, the person who travels has their Victor cast first. I don't know 100% if that's true, but that's what I think. So in this case, McShenyu's, if neither of them gets CC'd, I would expect his to cast for, but see, that's not a really good example, because the Mordekaiser obviously ended up CCing the Victor, which ended up actually being the huge diff here, and Setsuko goes down in second, but still, I think this was such a beautifully played game of Setsuko, playing just a really, really high cap AD board and playing for a second when I think so few people would actually be able to turn this game into a top 2. And, obviously lost a bunch of HP in the mid game. He needed all the HP that he got, but it's such a cool board. Who else but Setsuko would play this cool 4 scrap board where he's fitting in Savika, and he was fitting in Vi, he's fitting in Jinx onto his board as well. This is just a beautiful flex game of TFT, and just shows the power of flex play, because I think a lot of people put in a Setsuko spot would roll down to the 4 emissary board, and they would have bot forward, and they would have said, caught, it's more dog's fault. But beautiful game by Setsuko. Hope you guys all enjoyed the VOD review. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, do all those good things. How can I incept into your mind to actually, because I think it might just float over your head to like, comment, and subscribe, but I actually really want you to like, comment, and subscribe. Do it right, do it now. Like the video, right? And then comment what your favorite part of this, what you think about this VOD was. If you think Setsuko is just a high roller, comment that now, and subscribe to the channel, and subscribe to my VOD channel. The link is in the description. Okay, I'm gonna go. Goodbye. Thanks everyone for watching as always.